Um, Hi everyone, we have here with us Jacqueline Lentzou. She's the director of The End of Suffering proposal, which is selected in the international competition at Curtis. Jacqueline, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for your time. I'd like to start by asking if you can describe your film a little bit for us and how the idea for this short came about. What was the inspiration?
Yes, so I think the film could be described in a way as science fiction black comedy art house film. I want to make a film that would not fit in any ready-made category. I'm very interested in merging genres. I don't believe really in the genre in a way, as I don't believe in labeling. So I try to experiment with this more intellectual idea and putting it into a film concept. And this particular film, in a way, it's like a poem, an ode to planet Mars, and it's totally fictionalized, of course. And yes, I think it's a poem about Mars as an escaping possibility for someone who does not feel they belong on Earth.
And the inspiration for the ideas?
The inspiration is somehow a funny story because indeed I was with my DOP, who happens to be one of my best friends, on holidays 2 summers ago, and it was a very, very starry night. So all the stars were whitish, but one was slightly red. And soon after, we found out that indeed it was Mars that was visible from Earth. And it felt very, very weird that I could really see with my bare eyes another planet. So somehow I started thinking a lot about the universe and about unity and about what does it mean that we are from Earth? What does Earth mean? And this is a starting point, more or less, I think. And then it developed.
The film isn't really plot driven, it's more mood driven. It's like a collection of thoughts and feelings, like a subjective experience, more than objective. Is that something that you are interested in exploring with this film, more than a conventional narrative?
It's a very big discussion. What does a conventional narrative mean? What we are used to call a conventional narrative? Because to me, this film is very narrative based in a way. I mean, you start with a girl with a clear panic attack, almost stereotypically given and shot. And then you have the intervention from somewhere else, and then you have the solution. So in a way, it has its plot, but it doesn't have talking heads. So I think we are used to having, let's say, some actors speaking, and we think that this is plot driven, although when it's more abstract in the approach, we think it's not plot driven. So I think plot is something more intrinsic to the whole approach. But yes, I would say that I definitely am interested as a filmmaker, not only in this particular short, my previous shorts as well. I'm very interested in delivering a particular mood and atmosphere that I sense and try to portray in my filmmaking. So I think it's a plot-driven short with emphasis on mood.
Okay. Throughout the film, you are making a kind of imaginary ethnography, opposite to the traditional ethnography where the objective is to make something unknown more familiar. Here you are making something that is familiar, like the animals or the bodies of the athletes. You are making it almost unknown or something strange.
Yes.
And also in the beginning of the film, we start with this blurry shot of the girl, and then it starts to become more focused, which it feels like we are waking up for a dream, usually when we see that. But here it's almost the opposite, because after that we are going to like an abstract and a dream sequence. So like playing with these norms and rules and expectations, like making this reversed construction of your own world. Is that something that you find appealing and you try to explore with the films?
Yes, I find appealing in a way to revisit and rethink things that society and family has told us that they're like that. I find it very appealing, and I think film is a great form to do this without wanting to be didactic or anything, not at all. Just as a different proposal, as the title itself says. So for me, yes, it's totally a fictionalized ethnography, and it suits very well my references because all my references for this film were Soviet documentaries. So in a way, I wanted to make a documentary about planet Mars. Now, how would it be? We took a camera and we landed on a different planet. So yes, defamiliarization. So taking familiar images to us as human beings and changing the context or changing the description is totally something that interests me. I think it creates interesting associations. Sometimes I'm very focused and I really know exactly which word will go with which image. Other times I let it flow while editing. But especially what you mentioned at the beginning about the blurry becoming more focused and how this usually in our heads is a dream. For me, dreaming, because I have studied a lot about the dream construct thoroughly, I would say, both with all psychoanalytic approaches, Lacan, Jung, Freud, everything. Uh, I think that at the end of the day, dreaming when we sleep and reality as we experience it is not that different in the sense that, and it's weird, but in the sense that, let's say me, that I suffer from anxiety, my dreams are filled with anxiety. So what does it really change? The imagery, the surrealness of the matter, you know what I mean? So I want with this film to draw a much more blurry line between reality and sleeping reality in a way.
Yes, like a dreaming awake, something like that. Also, at the center of the film is this theme of time, of of the passage of time. At one point, we hear something like "everything lasts, nothing breaks," and so this is a passage like it's asking us to look at a bigger picture, maybe at a different perspective. So is that a subject of time that is something that you like to explore with the film, and you want to use as a theme for the film?
Yes, for sure, because what happens in a panic attack? In a panic attack, you think, unfortunately, that there's no more time for you to be alive. And this is how you start to panic. So behind all anxiety, whether we call it panic attack, nightmares, or psychological frustration, in any form anxiety takes, time is always behind it, always. So because it's a personal experience, I was wondering, okay, we are all suffocating with time, deadlines, growing old. I'm 31, I'm thinking, oh, I have to make this and this and this, and I will be 40. It's all time-based schedule, Okay, of course, it's needed in order to all communicate and coordinate ourselves, yes, for sure, but we cannot leave this construct because it's also something that people have invented. We should not allow this construct to guide our lives and make people miserable and suffer. So yes, of course, in this film, which is called The End of Suffering, I want to propose that she comes from a planet where nothing ends because nothing begins, because there's no time. It's just flowing existence. If she comes from there and she landed here, that everything is time-based, of course she will suffer. So yes, time for me is a huge, huge topic. I think before I even started realizing that time is my topic, it was my topic already. Like, as I remember, I was very, very young, like 6 or 7, and I had plans, and I would say, okay, when by 18 years old, I would have done that. By 22, and you're like, this is almost paranoid. You don't live the moment because you have a plan for sometime later, may come, may not come, you know what I mean? So yes, for sure, time is a huge theme in this short and in all of my films, I think.
That's super interesting. I was also wondering, you use a few different formats in the film, with the footage from the train in the beginning, and then something that almost looks like archival footage with the image from Mars and the pictures of the stars. I was wondering if you find appealing to explore different formats in the same film, and if you can use a little bit about the footage that you used during the dialogue sequence.
Yes. I really like different textures in films. I really enjoy it, and it's something that I have really missed because, you know, film is very expensive and analog tapes are not the best medium to shoot a film. It's totally automatically considered experimental if it's shot on another medium, which I think it's unfair because again it's another label, although no, experimental comes from content. But anyway, oh yes, for sure, I'm very interested in all of our filmmaking of merging textures. Even in my feature film that I'm currently editing, I have digital, I have VHS, I have many stuff. I think what it's being succeeded through this experimentation of textures is that you end up having a film that looks more and feels more like a collage. You know, how you, when we were kids, we'll have a big board and we'll stick different stuff and you can make up something. This is what I wanted to achieve. And this is something I'm interested in general again. In this particular film, because we wanted to evoke this Soviet-like documentary from the past, we knew that we should use film stock. We knew, and we were very lucky to have our producer supporting us because it's super expensive and there's no money in this country to make films. Bye bye. So yes, we have the film stock, and we had a big discussion about how to portray the universe. So what we actually did is that we went and shot in the Museum of Planets that we have here, the actual tape that they put to kids when they come to their schools for a school trip. And they worked out. It's funny that it's different. I like it because you go to the universe and something totally digital suddenly. And then again, you go to the organic aspect of the film stock. Yes. And actually, it's funny that you mentioned the beginning as a different one because both the beginning and the dialogue scene, it's the same film stock. What changed between them is when we put the red filter on top. I really love film stock, and I think nowadays, because we're very used to social media, our computers, our phones, all these digital images artificially, altered. When you see film stock, you feel a nostalgia automatically. You feel something very, very soft in your heart. And I think that it was the best medium in order to succeed this nostalgic documentary of a forgotten planet, let's say. So, yes.
And also the last couple of minutes of the film, it's like a almost ethereal composition of the music and sound. How did you find the balance for that sequence between the shots? Was it something that you had to work a lot, or was it more instinct based? And also, if you can tell us a little bit about the choice for the song in the end.
The whole film was instinct based. No matter the fact that the inspiration came 2 summers ago when I really saw Planet Mars, I decided to make the film May 2019, and in May 2019 we shot it. That was it. So it was super instinctive. The last sequence, however, was heavily influenced from a journey I had. I traveled to with a very good friend of mine, and actually the set designer of the film, Eva, in New York, where we had the chance to see a Mapplethorpe exhibition. I was not so much aware of his work. I knew the portraits that he worked on. However, so I was not aware of how he shot and how he portrayed the flowers. And I was in, I think, Guggenheim, New York, and I saw these flowers, and somehow when I noticed them even more and observed the flower stopped being a flower. It took many other forms, and I thought how interesting to have a parallelism of body parts and flowers, because again, it leads us back to nature, to the beginning of it all, and to the fact that we are all one. So yes, it was very instinctive and very fun to shoot. And I'm very happy with the sequence because I really think that the flowers look really amazing and the body parts also. So somehow it's all very nice for
Yes,
me.
yeah.
And the song, it's I think the only song whose lyrics could almost be like a synopsis of the film. So it could not be there. If you notice what it says, it really it's like made for the film, although it's written 30 years ago, and it was discovered by chance almost at the party.
Okay. Well, okay. And finally, I was wondering if you have any new projects. You mentioned your feature film. Maybe we can
Yes.
hear a little bit about it.
I'm currently editing my feature film, which I think will be out in 2021 if everything goes fine worldwide. And in the meanwhile, I'm writing my second feature film on a treatment basis, and also I'm planning to shoot another short about another planet.
Okay, we will look forward to see those works. Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure, and take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.